People think about themselves and behave differently in different contexts. This phenomena is known as the active self concept. By investigating different features that predicted self-identity fluctuations, we hope to contribute to the understanding of how people shift representations when they go in different situations. First, we wanted to create a representation of the self-concept. To do this, we created a network that describes how traits connect and depend upon one another. Participants were asked which trait words a target trait relied upon for semantic understanding. From this network, we identified features which we believed may play a role in how people represent traits differently between contexts. One of the features we identified was out degree. If you look at the top figure on the right, you can see a representation of out degree. Out degree refers to how many traits a target trait causes. Traits with higher out degrees are considered more influential in a network. In this figure, you can see that because someone identified themselves as outgoing, they also thought they were funny, sociable, and good-humored. We also used a community walk-chop detection model to identify traits that were very similar and interrelated. This includes looking at how many common neighbors the traits had with one another. Next, participants completed a task where they envisioned themselves in two different contexts, and in each context, they rated how each trait described them in that context on a 1 to 7 Likert scale, rating how self-descriptive the trait was. In this study, participants were told to imagine themselves and rated themselves in two different contexts, studying at school and hanging out with friends. First, we wanted to know if specific types of traits were responded to differently between contexts. The walk-chop community detection test identified 4 groups of related trait words. We named these trait communities to broadly summarize what the types of traits each group described. They fall under analytical studious, interpersonal positivity, dedicated idealistic, or friendly engaging. On the middle figure on the right, you can see that participants represented these traits differently depending on the context that they were in. Words that were analytical and studious in nature were rated as more self-descriptive in the school context than in the friend context. And the interpersonal positivity group, dedicated idealistic group, and friendly and engaging group were rated more self-descriptive in the friend context in comparison to the school context. Next, we wanted to know how out degree impacted self-evaluations. The figure in the bottom middle pane shows that people self-evaluate higher on traits that are high in out degree. This has implications that people may want to be evaluated as more descriptive on positive traits that are more influential to the network. Participants also evaluated traits as more self-descriptive in the friend context compared to the school context. This lends evidence that context-specific details may influence how people will represent themselves in each situation. Further, in the top diagram in the middle pane, you can see that as out degree increases, rating distance across contexts decrease. This means that with these more influential words, people are more stable in representations across contexts. This implies that there are certain aspects about oneself that might not change much across contexts because they are necessary for maintaining global self-coherence. Other traits may be much more malleable and will fit the demand and goals of a context, showing more granular variability.